Okay, let's unpack this. Picture a tiny villain hiding in your pantry, silently draining your motivation, your peace of mind, and your physical endurance. You're probably thinking it's sugar, right? The classic, obvious bad guy.
That's what everyone assumes, yeah.
But here is where this deep dive gets really interesting, because the #1 nutrient-depleting food in the world is actually, well, worse than sugar, both in volume and how hard it hits your system.
It's true. This is about the stealthiest, most pervasive thief in the grocery store. We're talking refined starches and how they essentially hold two critical vitamins hostage.
Hostage, okay.
Yeah, and the resulting deficiencies lead to this bizarre constellation of symptoms that, honestly, doctors almost never connect back to diet, mainly because we eat so much of this stuff relentlessly.
Right. So our mission today is to figure out why your late-night snack of chips or pretzels, or maybe even just that filler flour in your takeout,
The hidden stuff.
why that might be secretly responsible for those unexplainable mood swings, that chronic fatigue you just can't shake, and maybe even that truly agonizing Charlie horse that wakes you up screaming at 3 in the morning.
We are definitely going to expose the starch monster.
Okay, but let's be clear. When we say refined starches, we're not knocking like a whole baked potato with the skin on, right? Or a good bowl of oatmeal.
No, absolutely not. Those have fiber, they have nutrients. We're talking about the processed stuff.
The white powdery suspects, the stuff that sneaks into everything. Refined rice flour, corn flour, modified cornstarch, tapioca flour.
And the big one, maltodextrin, very common.
Yeah, these are the highly processed agents of nutrient destruction, basically.
So why are starches the bigger long-term problem compared to their sugary cousins?
It really comes down to a staggering volume difference. We hear constantly about sugar.
All the time.
And yeah, the average person eats about 50 pounds of added sugar annually. That's bad enough for sure.
50 pounds sounds horrifying on its own. But the starch numbers, they dwarf it. We consume nearly 300 pounds of starch per year.
Whoa. Okay, that's a lot. 6 times the volume.
Exactly. Think of it like this, maybe like organized crime. Sugar is like a small handbag of crime. It does damage, sure, but it's kind of contained.
Okay.
Refined starch, though, that's a massive, relentless U-Haul truck that just backs up to your storage unit every single week and empties your nutrient reserves.
Okay.
It's an unsustainable rate of depletion over a lifetime.
Wow. Okay, that U-Haul analogy makes sense.
Yeah.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, the reason the sheer volume matters is all about metabolism, isn't it?
Precisely. When your body tries to metabolize all these starches, it's like you're trying to run an industrial factory at maximum capacity 24/7.
Right.
The starch is the raw material. It breaks down into glucose, but processing it into useful energy requires essential cofactors, your vitamins and minerals.
They're like the factory workers or the tools.
Exactly. And the faster the raw material floods in, the faster the factory needs those cofactors, and the faster you burn through your reserves.
And refined starches are designed to flood in.
They are metabolic rockets. They hit your system instantly.
We can see that speed on the glycemic index scale, right?
Yeah.
That measures how fast food spikes your blood sugar. Sugar, like table sugar, is usually around 74.
Yeah, around there. But these specific refined starches, especially maltodextrin, you find that in sports drinks, processed snacks.
Oh, yeah. Everywhere.
That stuff can blast off to scores as high as 180.
180?
Yeah.
Compared to 74 for sugar. Wow.
Yeah, it jacks up your blood sugar almost instantly, demanding a huge immediate cofactor response just to start dealing with it.
Okay, so that leads us right to the first and maybe the most volatile nutrient casualty in all this. Vitamin B1, thiamine.
That's the first one to go, typically.
Okay, let's unpack this. B1 is essential. We need it, but our body is terrible at storing it, right? Like we only keep about 30 milligrams total.
That's it, 30 milligrams. It's a minuscule amount.
To use your road trip analogy, that's like less than a teaspoon of gas for a cross-country trip.
Pretty much. You're trying to run this highly complex, nonstop operation on fumes, and the second you floor the accelerator like hitting your system with a big rush of refined starch, you burn through that tiny drop instantly.
Gone. And what's fascinating, or maybe scary, is that the official recommended daily allowances, the RDAs for B1, they're like 1 to 1.2 milligrams, and they haven't really changed in, what, 80 to 100 years?
Yeah, that's a crucial point for critical thinking. Those RDAs were set when the average diet was completely different. Far fewer processed, refined carbs.
So if you're eating that modern diet, that 300 pounds of starch a year, that 1 milligram RDA is just...
It's nowhere near enough. It can't possibly cover the metabolic demand you're putting on your system.
Okay. And what happens when the B1 runs out? What does it actually do?
Well, B1 is basically the ignition switch. It's the traffic cop for the TCA cycle, or Krebs cycle, which is how your body turns glucose into energy into ATP.
So no B1.
No ignition. The whole cycle bottlenecks. The glucose can't get into the main energy pathway.
So where does it go?
It gets shunted off into this metabolic side road and gets converted into lactic acid.
The lactic acid, like when you exercise too hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you dump huge amounts of refined starch into your system, you burn out your tiny B1 reserve almost immediately, and you end up swimming in acidity.
Okay, and the symptoms from that, they're probably not obvious B1 deficiency symptoms, are they?
Not at all. They look like everything else, which is why doctors miss it. It starts with the basics. Digestion. You need B1 just to kickstart digestion-making stomach acid-releasing bile.
So deficiency means?
Slow, sluggish digestion, feeling bloated all the time, nauseous maybe, definitely constipation. It's like the whole system just slows to a crawl.
Okay, that's bad enough. But then it hits the nervous system.
Yes, and the nervous system really relies on B1 for stability. That's when you start noticing things like nervous tension, feeling stressed out all the time, and a serious difficulty in just solving basic problems, like your brain feels foggy, especially when you're trying to wind down at night. It's a very common but often unrecognized cause of real insomnia.
So you're lying there, stressed, can't think straight, can't sleep, because you had too many crackers.
It sounds simplistic, but yes, that constant B1 drain can absolutely manifest that way, and it can spiral into mood instability. As B1 levels drop even further, you start seeing significant personality changes, frequent, kind of inexplicable mood swings.
You know, that makes me think, if someone in your life just seems to fly off the handle for seemingly no reason, like tiny stressor, huge reaction, maybe they don't need anger management. Maybe they just desperately need to cut the refined starches and get some B1 back in their system.
It's definitely a possibility worth considering. And in really extreme long-term deficiency, severe B1 deficiency can actually induce psychosis.
Wow.
And it can cause a really strange neurological thing called confabulation, where the person produces memories that are completely false, but they genuinely believe them. It's linked to Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, often seen in alcoholism, which heavily depletes B1. Shows you how critical B1 is for just basic brain chemistry.
Okay, let's circle back to that lactic acid thing. All that starch turning into acid instead of energy. What does that do?
Well, it increases the body's overall acidity, metabolic acidosis. And this acidity essentially shuts down oxygen efficiency. It makes it harder for your body to use oxygen effectively, and that directly affects breathing.
Breathing issues. Like what?
Well, it raises an interesting question. I wonder how many people struggling with things like chronic hyperventilation, maybe even some forms of sleep apnea.
Sleep apnea. Really?
It's a potential link. If the body is chronically acidic because it can't process glucose properly due to lack of B1, it affects respiratory drive. It's also strongly linked to restless leg syndrome, that feeling where your nerves are just too tense, too agitated to relax.
Wow, okay. And are there people more likely to be deficient, like diabetics?
Oh, nearly 100% of diabetics are deficient in B1. Constantly high blood sugar puts an enormous continuous demand on B1 for processing.
And other things make it worse, right? You mentioned alcohol.
Yes. Alcohol massively depletes B1. Also, tea, coffee, eating a lot of raw fish, like sushi, they contain enzymes that break down thiamine.
Sushi. Okay, noted. And certain medications.
The big one is metformin, the diabetes drug. It specifically increases how fast your body gets rid of B1. So it's often necessary, but it guarantees a B1 deficit that needs managing.
And exercise. You mentioned athletes.
Yeah, intense exercise burns B1. Now think about athletes pounding maltodextrin, that super high glycemic starch, for energy.
Without replacing the B1.
They are sprinting toward deficiency. Trading that short-term fuel burst for potentially long-term nervous system chaos is a bad trade-off.
Okay, this is a lot. Right. B1 is clearly crucial and easily depleted by starches. But wait, stepping back for a second, you said 2 vitamins were held hostage.
That's right, because you can try to load up on B1 all you want, but B1 can't even clock in for work. It can't get activated without its essential partner.
Ah, there's a catch.
There's always a catch. The second crucial element being stolen by the starch monster is magnesium.
Magnesium. Okay, I hear a lot about that one.
It's the ultimate unsung cofactor. It is absolutely required for B1 to become biologically active in your body. If B1 is the traffic cop, magnesium is the uniform, the whistle, the authority. It enables B1 to do its job.
Okay. And it helps vitamin D too, right?
It does. It helps activate vitamin D as well. But connecting this back to the starch issue, magnesium's most critical job, arguably, is managing calcium.
Calcium, bones, right.
Yes, but more immediately, calcium, by its very nature, causes muscle contraction. It's the on switch for muscle fibers.
Okay.
Magnesium is the off switch, or maybe the regulator. It allows muscles to relax. Without enough magnesium to keep calcium in check, you end up with too much uncontrolled, frantic contraction.
The uncontrolled contraction.
Lovely.
Well, what do you call that completely involuntary muscle spasm that often jolts you awake screaming at 3 a.m.?
Oh, the dreaded Charlie horse. And just a painful muscle spasm. Precisely. That often hits in the early morning hours because that's typically when your circulating magnesium levels dip lowest, partly due to overnight use, and partly from the metabolic burn needed to process any late-night starch snacks you might have had.
So the starch snack steals the magnesium needed to prevent the spasm.
Wow. It contributes significantly. And what does this mean for the heart? Which is, a muscle.
Right, a very important one.
Think about those medications called calcium channel blockers. Doctors prescribe them for high blood pressure arrhythmias.
Yeah.
Magnesium is essentially nature's calcium channel blocker. It performs a similar function naturally, keeping excess calcium from overstimulating the heart muscle and blood vessel walls, preventing excessive tension.
So low magnesium can mean higher blood pressure, palpitations.
Absolutely. It plays a huge regulatory role. It also helps direct where calcium goes in the body. Without enough magnesium, calcium can start building up in the wrong places, like painful kidney stones or even hardening of the arteries. Magnesium helps keep calcium dissolved and directed to bones and teeth, not soft tissues.
Okay, magnesium's way more important than I thought. And sleep.
Yeah.
You mentioned insomnia with B1. Does magnesium play a role there too?
Big time. Because if you're chronically low in both B1 and magnesium, you are definitely not sleeping well. Low magnesium levels allow your stress hormone, cortisol, to spike and stay high.
High cortisol equals no sleep.
Exactly. It makes it virtually impossible to achieve deep, restorative rest. This is why so many people find taking magnesium before bed helps them relax and sleep better. It helps calm the nervous system and lower that cortisol.
Makes sense. Any other classic signs of magnesium deficiency?
Yeah, things like unexplained tremors, maybe twitching eyelids, generalized muscle weakness, and it's a very common factor in debilitating migraines.
Migraines too. Okay, so we've got this starch monster stealing B1 and magnesium, causing everything from constipation and insomnia to Charlie horses and potentially worse. If you recognize yourself in this, what's the escape plan? How do you fight back?
Well, you have to do two things, really, and they have to work together. First, stop the drain. Second, replenish the reserves.
Okay, replenishing. What are the best food sources for B1?
Best natural sources are whole foods. Pork is surprisingly the single highest source.
Pork, really?
Yep. Also, liver, eggs, sunflower seeds. And a crucial note here, you see thiamine added on refined grains like white bread.
Yeah, fortified foods.
That's usually a synthetic form, thiamine mononitrate, which isn't very well absorbed or utilized by the body. So relying on fortified junk food is definitely not the answer. You need the whole food forms.
Got it. Whole foods first. But if someone is really deficient, maybe showing those neurological symptoms and needs to catch up faster, what about supplements?
For B1, you really need to look for the highly bioavailable forms, the ones that can actually cross the blood-brain barrier easily to help with nerve and mood issues.
Like which ones?
Lithiamine is excellent. It's derived naturally from garlic, or another one called benfotiamine. It's fat-soluble, stays in the body longer, and is often used for more systemic issues like diabetic neuropathy. Regular thiamine HCl is okay, but maybe less effective for severe deficiency.
Okay. Lithiamine or benfotiamine for B1, and our unsung hero, magnesium. What type should people look for?
For magnesium, the form generally recommended most often, especially for sleep and nervous system issues, is magnesium glycinate.
Why that one?
It tends to be very gentle on the stomach. Some forms can cause digestive upset, and it's highly absorbable. Magnesium citrate is okay too, but maybe more likely to have a laxative effect. Glycinate is usually the top pick.
And you need to take them together, right? The B1 and the magnesium.
Ideally, yes. Because remember, the magnesium is needed to actually activate the B1 so it can get to work inside your cells. They're partners.
Okay. Cut the refined starches, eat B1-rich whole foods, and consider supplementing with bioavailable B1 and magnesium glycinate.
That's the core strategy. But honestly, while supplements can help you recover, The simplest, most effective long-term advice is just to drastically reduce or avoid those refined starches altogether. Stop feeding the monster.
Right. Stop the U-Haul from backing up every week.
Exactly.
Wow. This has been a truly eye-opening deep dive. Thinking about how that quick, comforting energy boost from a refined starch, that bag of chips, the white bread, those crackers, might actually be silently sabotaging your sleep, your mood, your muscle control. It's kind of disturbing.
It is. The real danger isn't just the empty calories on the label, it's the invisible high-demand nutrient depletion that happens just to process those empty calories. Your body is forced to steal from its own crucial reserves of B1 and magnesium just to cope.
It's like taking out a high-interest loan for a moment of energy,
Right.
but the payback is chronic depletion.
That's a great way to put it. And critical thinking here is essential. In a world flooded with health information, we often look for complex medical reasons for feeling lousy. But sometimes the answer is just hiding in plain sight, right there in your pantry or on your plate.
So the next time you feel inexplicably moody or you're fighting off a Charlie horse at 4 a.m., are you going to reach straight for a pill bottle? Or are you finally going to realize that maybe, just maybe, your breakfast bagel or your lunchtime white wrap or that late-night cracker binge might have been the sneaky culprit all along?
Something to think about, definitely.